Hello everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're exploring a quiet turning point. A storm has delayed supplies, but the real danger isn't the weather, it's the rush. Can patience finish a home and save a farm faster than force? As Tu Diep recovers, she and James must choose between speed and stability, locking the east-facing kitchen window, retiming the build, and protecting what matters most. If you find this journey compelling, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. Morning spills through thin curtains, a pale ribbon of gold across a small room that still smells faintly of antiseptic and old wood. Tu Diep lifts her phone and lets the joy run through her voice. Hello everyone. Deep was discharged today. The words leave like birds from a cage. A small victory, a clean breath. Yet worry drifts in behind it like shadow on wheat. The farm, the unfinished rows, the half-built kitchen that keeps tugging at her mind. A motorbike hum fades down the lane. James has just dropped Ly at school. Diep pictures the little high ponytail bobbing as the girl waved. "Grandma, when will Miss Diep be back?" That line has lived in Diep's chest for days, warm as a candle but edged with ache. She lowers the phone and listens to the house, a spoon tapping porcelain in the kitchen, a pot lid clinking, the soft shuffle of Mrs. Huyen's slippers. Steam from porridge threads into the cool morning air. It smells like care. Micro-monologue. Diep, I'm out of the hospital, but my life is not back. I hold the phone like it can hold me back together. The small house is all texture. Sunlit dust, chipped paint, a window latch that clicks twice before it gives. Outside, the village path glows like beaten brass. Inside, Diep's thoughts keep pacing the fence line of the farm. Have the young trees been watered? Did the storm unseat the bricks? Did James find workers? Did he find time? Mrs. Huyen steps in, brisk and kind, a soft towel draped over one arm. "Rest a few more days," she says, voiced low, so as not to disturb the house. The farm is under construction, too noisy. Diep nods, but the nod doesn't sink. "I'm so worried. Everyone's working hard because of me," she says. The guilt tastes metallic, like a coin under the tongue. "Has James hired someone to continue?" Mrs. Huyen sets a hand on her shoulder. "Light, steady. Just focus on getting better." That sentence lands like a chair, pulled close. Diep leans back against the pillow and watches the window. Sunlight keeps moving, a slow tide across the bedsheet. She thinks about lines drawn in earth, about measurements for counters and stove height, and a window that should face morning light, so steam rises and disappears instead of pooling under the rafters. She sees it as clearly as a map. She wants to stand. Her body says, "Not yet." The phone vibrates, a message from James. "Storm delayed delivery, I'll handle reschedule, don't worry." She reads it twice, then presses the phone to her sternum like a warm stone. Somewhere outside, a rooster throws its late call into the day, and a bicycle bell rings twice. Life keeps moving in sensible circles. Micro-monologue. James texted, tone unsent. She always thinks of the farm first. If she could, she would carry the walls on her back. Today she carries the phone. I will carry the rest. In the kitchen, the porridge thickens. "Minced meat or stewed bones?" calls Mrs. Huyen without looking away from the pot. "Minced meat," Diep answers, and hears how small her voice sounds, how much it wants to be strong. The spoon clinks. The bowl arrives. Steam fogs the rim like winter on glass. Eat, then take your medicine. You'll be fine, says Mrs. Huyen. Diep raises the spoon. Each bite is a modest negotiation with strength. She pictures Ly at school, tracing letters that look like little fences. She pictures James at the gate, talking with a builder, sleeves pushed up, hands drawing rectangles in the air when words fail. She pictures the kitchen window, the one that should be moderate height, airy, bright, easy to clean. She swallows, breathes, and makes a vow so simple it fits inside the next spoonful. I will recover, and I will return. The vow tastes like rice and salt and ginger. Outside, a thin wind carries the scent of damp soil through the window. Inside, the phone on the nightstand blinks once and rests. Micro monologue, Diep. The farm is my map. The family is my compass. Today, I draw a small line back to both. When the bowl empties, she sets the spoon down and feels the weight ease a notch. Not gone, but eased. A crow crosses the window, a black stroke across gold. The room is still. She lets stillness be a kind of work, the first task on a long list. She closes her eyes and sees rows straightening, a path clearing, a kitchen filling with morning. She opens them again, awake to the simple truth in front of her. Rest is part of the build. She reaches for the phone, not to announce anything, but to place it face down and let the house breathe with her. Late afternoon warmth washes the weathered walls in copper. The day has worn off its hospital smell and taken on pepper and fruit and soap. Footsteps in the yard, the soft scrape of a gate. James steps into the doorway, pausing to read Diep's face before he says anything. You're looking better, he says, finally. It's not a performance, it's a report. I feel lighter, she answers. Tell me about the farm. He lifts an eyebrow, already expecting it. Kitchen is the main question, he says. We need to lock height. He holds his palm at mid-chest, then lower, drawing phantom counters at the air. Moderate height, Diep says, eyes sharpening. Airy, bright, window east. We don't want steam trapped. She touches the window frame with her fingers, measuring without a tape. The room narrows to problem and solution the way she likes it. The phone sits on the table like a witness. Outside, Ly skips, a red ribbon in her hair cutting arcs in the light. Mom, I know you love me so much, she calls through the doorway to Mrs. Huyen, who is peeling melon with the quiet skill of someone who has peeled a lifetime of fruit. Eat first, sing later, the older woman replies, a smile already in her voice. Micro monologue, James. Every time she says window east, I see the whole house turn its face to morning. She makes places breathe. They sit. The air tastes like ripe melon and sealing dust. James lays out the delays. The storm pushed deliveries by 2 days. A supplier swapped tile lots. The mason lost a helper. Each line is a clean cut. No drama, just things to solve. No rush, James says. When you're well, we'll work together. He waits for the words to land. Diep nods, the nod deeper this time. Thank you, she says. But let's not lose momentum. Can we book temporary labor for soil turning? The trees cannot wait. She glances at the phone, then deliberately looks away. I trust you to handle it. Done, he says, and means it. Micro monologue, Diep. I want to lift the shovel. Today I lift the decision. A breeze raises the curtain hem. The house breathes. The small harms of the day float out. Then back in, Ly's laughter and the clack of melon seeds in a bowl. Mrs. Huyen passes a plate, cool and wet against Diep's palms. "You two eat," she says. "I'll bathe me." The sentence is a bridge. They cross it. They move through small talk about fastenings and fixtures, but the current underneath is steadier. How to carry hope without hurrying the body. How to keep the build clean of panic. "For the counters," Diep says, "round the edges, Ly runs." James nods and takes a quick note on his phone. The phone screen throws a soft square of light on the table. Tool, not trap. When the plate is empty, silence slips in, gentle and precise. "Do you want to go buy some food?" James asks. It is both invitation and test of strength. "Yes," Diep answers and surprises herself with how easily it comes. She stands. Her legs remember. They are unsure for one beat, then sure. They step outside. The path is red earth and pebbles, the colour of long afternoons. The sky is deciding whether to go gold or stay blue. Neighbours nod, a chorus of small acknowledgements that say, "We saw you sick, and now we see you standing." She grips the gate with one hand, the metal warm from sun, and lets the texture reassure her. The phone in her other hand is cool, balanced. Micro-monologue. James. Today is a hinge. The day turns on whether she can take 10 steps without flinching. I do not count out loud. They walk past the bamboo, past the low wall where children leave chalk lines like spells, past the little store with jars of dried chilies and clear bags of rice stacked like bricks. The vendor greets them, eyes soft with the gossip of survival. They choose simple things, greens, salt, 2 small fish. No ceremony, the bag hangs light from James's hand. On the way back, the sun makes everything honest. Shadows are long enough to show all edges. Ny's voice floats from the house, a melody the evening will remember. Diep matches her steps to James's without trying. She feels that if the farm is a map and the family is a compass, this path is the north-south line, straight and true. At the gate, she stops. Not from weakness. To mark the moment. "We'll build it right," she says, not looking at him, because it is easier to speak to the path that will test them. No rush, no fear, just work. "Agreed," James says. The sky tips to red. A small wind licks the eaves. They step inside, not stronger than before, but more aligned. In the quiet, a plan unrolls without ceremony. Tomorrow, a call to the mason, a check on the east window, a message to the nursery about the young trees, a small list that will let the body heal while the work stays warm. The house receives them, and the day ends like a knot pulled snug. Night cool settles with a clean edge. The house is steady, its sounds trimmed to essentials. Water running in a basin, the soft thud of feet drying on a mat, the click of a door eased shut. After dinner, the air holds coriander and soap and a trace of motor oil from James's bike. It smells like a life that works even when a body is learning how to again. On the table lies a short list written in neat block letters. East window height, counter edges, soil turning, tree delivery, storm check on bricks, tile lock confirmation. The list is not an engine. It is a metronome. It sets a tempo that the body can keep. Micro-monologue, Diep. I used to think recovery was a sprint done in a hallway with bright lights. Here, it is a field walked at evening speed. James spreads a folded sketch of the kitchen. The pencil lines are decisive, but not final. The window, he says, we can drop the sill by 5 centimeters and raise the lintel by 3. That keeps light, but avoids glare on the stove. Diep imagines the steam running up and out, the morning sun coming in sideways, the way the room will breathe if they get this right. Do it, she says, and add a small shelf under the window for drying herbs. He nods and adds a line. The sketch becomes less paper and more place. Mrs. Huyen returns with a towel over her shoulder and knee in pajamas, hair damp and sweet-smelling. Your turn tomorrow, she tells Diep with playful sternness, as if scolding a worker who has skipped a shift. Yes, boss, Diep says, and the three adults share a quiet grin. Nai curls against Diep's side and presses her palm to Diep's wrist, feeling the steady beat. Strong, Nai declares, and that single word hangs in the room like a small banner. They move into a domestic ritual that asks little and gives much. Tea poured, cups warmed by a quick swirl, a slice of fruit for each. The lights set to low, the phone turned to silent and face down, as if the device needs to sleep too. The silence that follows is not empty. It is aligned with trust. Micro-monologue, James. The farm can take weather, we can take time. Her breath and the house are in the same rhythm now. They talk about next steps in a voice that keeps their bodies calm, the mason at 8, the nursery at 10, a midday rest, a short walk in shade, if the sun stays gentle, no lifting, no proving. We will measure progress in meters of light, James says, pointing to the wall where morning will land. Not in kilograms of bricks. The line sits neat and useful between them. Diep glances at the window and sees her reflection layered over darkness. She holds that double image long enough to file it as a private compass, the woman who is back and the woman who is still coming back. Both are allowed at this table. I don't want to slow you down, she says softly, not for pity, just to clear the sentence from her chest. You are not a delay, James answers. You are the plan. It is not poetry. It is logistics of love. It toggles the weight in the room. Mrs. Huyen exhales, the sound of a knot loosening. Tomorrow, she says, I'll cook porridge with stewed bones, extra ginger. We build with ginger and light. She ruffles Nee's hair. And with song. They end the night with a pledge, plain and unadorned, the kind that holds because it was not dressed up. Diep speaks first. I will rest as if it were work. I will walk when I can, stop when I must, and ask when I don't know. James follows. I will handle suppliers, workers, and storms. I will keep the build moving without asking your body to pay for speed. Mrs. Huyen adds her line. I will guard sleep and soup and sense. Each line matches a task. Each task fits a person's hands. It is enough. Micro-monologue, Diep. We are not forcing the door, we are oiling the hinges. Before bed, they set one small image to hold the night in place. The east window in morning. Light pooled on clean wood. A kettle whispering before it sings. Dee's footsteps fast but safe around rounded edges. A bunch of herbs drying under the sill, leaves curled like small fists opening. It is not a dream. It is a blueprint with breath. They turn off the lights. In the dark, the house shrinks to pulse and roof, and the simple creak of beams cooling. Outside, a late bird tries 3 notes and gives up. Inside, sleep moves like rain over dry ground. It does not flood. It soaks. The list on the table waits without urgency. At the seam of night and morning, when the room is neither black nor blue, nor yet gold, Diep opens her eyes. She listens for trouble and hears none. She counts breath, not tasks. She reaches for the phone and does not pick it up. Instead, she sets her feet to the floor and names the smallest first move out loud, just for herself. Tea. Water. Kettle. The soft click of flame. The day begins with heat placed under patience. In that quiet start, their earlier vow settles into habit. The farm will be finished by hands that refuse to rush. The kitchen will face east. The house will learn their names. And under a sky that lets clouds pass without commentary, Tu Diep and James will build, not as proof, but as practice. The work will be steady. The hope will be...
Sau khi xuất viện, Tu Diep về nhà biết ơn nhưng vẫn lo cho trang trại. Cơn bão làm dễ vật liệu, nếu vội vàng có thể phát bệnh. Cùng với James, cô đổi mục tiêu hoàn thành đều và chắc, không chạy nhanh. Họ chốt bếp hướng đông, mặt bếp cao vừa 5 cm bể, cộng với lại 3 cm đà để thoát hơi vào đầu nắng sớm. Bà Huyền thì giữ nhịp nhà, cháu nghỉ ngơi nên giới rõ. Nhi là neo an toàn, nơi thiết kế ngôi tròn cạnh và lối đi gọn gàng. Một buổi đi chợ ngắn đánh dấu sự trở lại. Danh sách gọn gàng, cửa sổ, xới đất, gieo cây, kiểm tra gạch sau bão, xác nhận lô gạch, nhiên máy đếm nhịp, không phải cây roi. Tối đến là trà ấm và yên lặng cho lời hứa đơn giản. Cô con nghỉ ngơi là công việc, anh lo nhà cung ứng và thợ, bà giữ giấc ngủ. Các bán lợi nhỏ nhìn thấy được, thay thế sự hấp tấp bảo vệ sức khỏe, ngân sách và mái nhà.